Consequences if it continues to help insurgents killing our troops in Iraq.
Of the fact that Iran is sending IEDs and other arms to be used against American soldiers.
Weaponry being smuggled in to Iraq from Iran.
It seems that this is hardcore proof that Iran is up to no good.
This is the U.S. as American troops are dying by some weapons from Iran.
This shows that from Iraq to Afghanistan, Iran is trying to broaden its influence big time, Lou.
Iran, of course, is helping insurgents kill our troops and Iraqis.
Well, coming up, new evidence today that Iran is playing a big role in helping to kill Americans over in Iraq.
Now, the United States, of course, has accused Iran of supplying deadly explosives to fighters in Iraq.
President Bush is warning there will be consequences if Iran does not stop exporting sophisticated explosives to Iraq.
Commanders say Iranian weapons are now one of the leading killers.
Iranian bombs are killing U.S. and Iraqi troops.
But Iran is supplying insurgents with weapons to fight coalition forces.
Weaponry of Iranian types has been entering Afghanistan for some time in amounts that make it hard to imagine that the Iranian government is not aware that this is happening.
There's more evidence of Iranian weapons ending up in Iraq.
And American people should be concerned about Iran. They should be concerned about Iran's activity in Iraq, and they ought to be concerned about Iran's activity around the world.
Iran has been playing a constructive role in Afghanistan for the past 5.5 years.
Iran has been getting increasingly close to the Shia-dominated government in Baghdad.
Iran has been a supporter of Afghanistan and the peace process that we have, and the fight against terror and the fight against narcotics in Afghanistan. Iran has been a participant in the bond process and since then has contributed steadily to Afghanistan. We have had very, very good, very, very close relations.
They've got close political ties, they've got close economic ties.
Iran, China, some Central Asian republics have been cooperating in the reconstruction process in Afghanistan, despite the differences that they have in the United States.
Well, is Iran a problem or a solution as far as you're concerned? Are they helping you or hurting you?
Well, so far Iran has been a helper and a solution.
They're helping Iraq or are they hurting Iraq? Because the U.S. position is they're hurting.
Iraqi Prime Minister al-Maliki met with Iranian President Ahmadinejad in Tehran.
They are helping to stop Mahdi army, which is a good, very good help to Iraqi people.
The Iraqi Prime Minister thanked Iran for what he called its positive and constructive stance on Iraq.
We want good relation with Iran. We have a long border with Iran. We are in need to have a kind of good relation with Iran.
The message out of the White House, Iran is very bad. The message from Nouri al-Maliki, they're helping.
The Quds Force, is it a terrorist organization?
Well, let me say that I cannot agree completely with this.
You agree or disagree?
No, I disagree.
With Senator Lieberman, who's a strong friend of yours.
Yes.
The second time this week alone that Mr. Bush has had to warn a key ally not to be hoodwinked by Iran.
President Bush today said that he is confident Prime Minister Maliki shares his view of Iran as a destabilizing force in the region. But the president also said if the Prime Minister does in fact have a different view, he plans to have some words with him.
If the signal is that Iran is constructive, I will have to have a heart-to-heart with my friend, the Prime Minister, because I don't believe they are constructive. I don't think he in his heart-to-heart thinks they're constructive either.
They were holding hands, the threat and the other guy.
Seems to me the president will want an opportunity to reassert his position on Iran.
And you've obviously followed this a lot. I mean, you've seen the reports. I'm sure you're confident.
And so I think it's natural for those countries in the neighborhood to do the best they can to get along with Iran, whereas we, way over here, can look at Iran more clearly as an adversary.
President Karzai understood that he thinks Iran is a destabilizing force in Afghanistan and all around the world.
Officials in Tehran now promise they're going to do everything they can to help stabilize Iraq. That's comforting, isn't it?
Let me finish, please. And so anyway.
Do you and your Iraqi counterpart see eye to eye on Iran?
The United States and Afghanistan do not see eye to eye on the role of Iran.
Now maybe he's hopeful in trying to get them to be constructive by laying out a positive picture.
They're sending arms, improvised explosive devices.
The president knows best about what's taking place in his country, and of course I'm willing to listen. But from my perspective, the burden of proof is on the Iranian government to show us that they're a positive force.
I think Iran is playing both sides of the street in Afghanistan. I think they're doing some things to help the Afghan government. I think they're also doing things to help the Taliban, including providing weapons.
This is the one the administration doesn't want to talk about much, Chris, because it doesn't just scare Americans or Iraqis, it scares markets. Because it immediately goes to the price of oil and what would happen to all kinds of countries in the Persian Gulf.
What side would we take in a battle between Shia, who've never been our friends, and Sunnis, who've usually been our friends, in a country which is dominated by Shia?
Right.
Could we take the side of the minority?
Right, the smart money probably bets on all comers because you don't really know who's going to turn out to be the winner. And so if you're trying to be in a position at the end of the day where you're on the side of the winner, you've got to bet on both sides.
America is backing these guys as a balance against the very government America created and has lost influence over.
I do know that Maliki is committed against extremist elements who are trying to create enough chaos and confusion that this young government and young democracy is not able to progress.
What you're now seeing are the militias that are being backed by the US.
So the first thing I looked for was commitment against the extremists.
What's happening here is the Shiite government is wary about our strategy in arming and cozying up with the Sunnis.
So the idea to get one of the enemies to turn on one of your other enemies, tactically may be okay, but there's some consequences.
This shows us a picture of how the war is being fought here in Iraq and won, certainly in some areas, in America's name.
It's a change of strategy. We reached out to the Sunnis.
How do we know that these guys in Al-Anbar who we're now supporting, who were once fighting against us, won't eventually turn back against us?
Well, we don't know.
We're arming them and cajoling them. We're bringing them in.
Isn't it true that the last thing Iran wants is for Iraq to have some sort of democratic government, so no matter what, they will just continue to fund and support extremists and bring weapons into that country?